For 4 years, a man lived downtown in a major city. As a night owl, he developed a rigid routine to burn off restless energy. Around 1 a.m., he would leave his apartment and walk for hours through the empty streets to clear his head. He felt entirely at ease in the dark. He even joked with his roommate that the local drug dealers were perfectly polite. The isolation didn't register as a threat. It felt like having the entire city to himself. The inciting incident happened on a quiet Wednesday. It was between 1 and 2 in the morning. He was navigating a route near a police-patrolled park, quite a distance from his apartment, with almost zero foot traffic. When you spend years associating an empty street with peace and quiet, your defensive instincts atrophy. You convince yourself that isolation guarantees safety. Dropping that guard leaves you completely exposed the moment the environment introduces something that shouldn't be there. The break in his routine happened when he turned down a short side street to loop back home. At the far end of the block, on his side of the sidewalk, a silhouette appeared. The figure was dancing. It looked like a clumsy waltz, but with a bizarre rhythm. Every time the man finished a traditional box step, he punctuated it with an odd stride forward. He was dance-walking directly toward the protagonist. The mind tries to categorize strange behavior immediately. The protagonist figured the guy was highly intoxicated. He stepped to the edge of the sidewalk near the road, giving the man plenty of room to pass safely. Labeling an erratic stranger as a harmless drunk is a psychological buffer. It is a neat, understandable category that allows the brain to maintain its illusion of safety. But a label only works until the physical reality of the situation forces you to look closer. As the distance between them closed, the drunk fury fell apart. Intoxicated people stumble. They easily lose their center of gravity. This man was moving with incredible grace and precise, deliberate control. He was exceptionally lanky, dressed in an old suit. His head was tilted slightly back, eyes locked onto the sky, and stretched across his face was a painfully wide, cartoonish smile. The sheer unnaturalness of that expression triggered a spike of fear. The protagonist broke his straight line and crossed the empty street to put a physical barrier of asphalt between them. Reaching the opposite side, the protagonist glanced back. The dancing had stopped. The man was now standing with one foot in the street, perfectly parallel to him. He was still facing the protagonist and still staring up at the sky with that exact same smile. By matching a person's physical position across a street while holding an unnatural facial expression, the man removed any doubt of his intent. He had transformed from a passing anomaly into a pursuer. Thoroughly unnerved, the protagonist started walking again, keeping his eyes glued to the stranger. Eventually, he needed to check the path ahead. He looked forward, confirming the street was empty, for no more than 10 seconds. Look at this diagram. The protagonist looked back. The man was gone. Instantly, the man had crossed the street, crouching in shadows. Tracking that line shows physical impossibility. Closing that gap silently in 10 seconds requires terrifying speed. Logical rules were breaking down. The man stood up and started moving forward again. He took massive, exaggerated, tiptoed steps. It looked like the creeping motion of a cartoon character sneaking up on someone, but executed at a rapid, unnatural pace. His nervous system overloaded. He didn't run, didn't reach for his spray. He just froze. He tried to shout an angry, commanding, "What do you want?" But his vocal cords failed. All that came out was a helpless whimper. Humans can hear fear in a voice, even if they can't smell it. The smiling man didn't flinch, didn't answer, and didn't change his expression. He simply stopped his advance exactly a car length away. The human brain knows how to fight a mugger or run from an aggressive dog. But when a threat violates the basic laws of physical space and shows absolutely zero human empathy or reaction, the mind simply crashes. The result is total psychological paralysis. After a long, silent standoff, the smiling man slowly turned his back. He picked up his bizarre rhythm and began dance-walking away down the dark street. The protagonist remained anchored to the sidewalk. Turning his back on that thing felt like a fatal error. He just watched the strange silhouette shrink further and further into the distance. Then, the dancing stopped. The distant shape hung still for a second, before rapidly expanding. The man was coming back. This time, he was sprinting. The paralysis finally broke. The protagonist turned and ran blindly, tearing through the side streets until he finally hit a main, well-lit thoroughfare with passing traffic. He threw a glance over his shoulder, expecting to see that manic smile right behind him, but the street was totally empty. The smiling man was gone as quickly as he had appeared. A false retreat weaponizes the victim's relief. By feigning a departure, the man forced a mental exhale, dropping the protagonist's guard just before launching a much faster, more aggressive attack. The protagonist lived in that city for another 6 months, but his 4-year routine died that night. He never went for a late-night walk again. The physical danger of being chased eventually faded, but the image of the man's face did not. The wide eyes and the frozen skyward smile lingered long after the adrenaline wore off. Most street encounters follow a recognizable logic. A mugger wants money, a drunk wants a fight. This man offered no demands and showed no signs of intoxication. He acted from a place of pure, irrational intent, which is far more difficult for the brain to process than a standard crime. The things that frighten us most in the dark aren't ghosts or monsters. It is the jarring reality of a completely fractured human mind. When you encounter someone driven by an irrationality so deep that you cannot reason, bargain, or plead with them, there is only one logical option left. You run.